and welcome. My name is Claire, and on behalf of the whole team at I Am Expat, it is my pleasure to welcome you to this evening's webinar. Today we have with us Jaime Gennaro from Practica Consulting, who will share with us her valuable knowledge about building community for expat entrepreneurs in the Netherlands. But before we start, I'd like to explain a few things about the webinar platform. To the right of your screen or at the bottom of your mobile device, you'll find the chat window. In the chat window, you can write a little comment to our presenters. You'll also see that there's a Q&A section. We encourage you to ask your questions in the Q&A section, and Jaime will save time at the end to answer people's questions. If you see a question that you're also wondering about, then we encourage you to upvote that question so that it appears at the top of the queue and it's more likely for Jaime to answer it before the end of today's webinar. But if we don't have time to go over everyone's questions, there will be a link shared at the end where you can get in touch with Jaime. So with all of that housekeeping, and now that you're familiar with the platform, I'm going to welcome Jaime. Jaime, you can turn your mic and camera on. Let's learn about community building. Oh, we can't hear you yet.
Thank you, Claire. So welcome, everybody. Thank you for taking time out of your evening to be in this microcosm, micro community of people. I'm going to be talking for the next hour about how community and building community can really help your business. And it doesn't seem like it might make a big difference in your business, but trust me, it could be the thing that actually really changes the shape of how you move forward in your business. So I think it's really important. So my first question for everyone, the first poll question is, where are you calling from? I'm curious if you're calling in from the Netherlands, because location is obviously one of the places where we build community. So it's just good for me to know, are you here in the Netherlands? Are you calling from outside of the Netherlands? Because we're all here together, and I want to figure out too if there's a way that we can make connection with one another. Obviously, if you're here in the Netherlands, that will be easier than if you're outside, but that doesn't mean we can't have, obviously, an online community. So let us know in the polls on the right where you're calling from. You can just put it in the box over there on the right, and I'll just keep tabs over there of what's going on. Oh, hello, Keiko. Nice to see you. Okay, so why is community important? So one of the things that a lot of smaller business owners tend to have difficulty with is sales. So if you're in the services business, sometimes sales can be difficult. But rather than thinking about what you want to sell to somebody, it's a lot easier to think about how you might connect with them. What is it that's common? What is the place that you want to be able to provide for them to give them support and to maybe even have some mutual opportunities to support one another? And that's where building community comes in. It's something that starts from a very, very authentic place. So for me, I'm American. I find I Am Expat an amazing resource. And so this was a place where I leaned into trying to build my expat community in the Netherlands. So then I could take that one step further and say, well, maybe the people that are best suited to work with me are also expats. But it starts from this place of, who are the people I want to connect with? It's not excluding anyone, but where do you have a common thread? Where do you have commonality with people? So that leads me to the second question. What does community mean to you? When we talk about community, what was it that brought you to this webinar? Where are you in your journey in terms of trying to build a network of people that you feel either supported by, or a network of people that you could potentially support? what does it mean to you? So what it means to me, this idea of community, is it really is this microcosm inside of something that's larger. So this microcosm is this call, right? Your microcosm may be that you're an entrepreneur in a world of big business. It might be that you're an expat in the Netherlands. It might be that you are any myriad of things, right? But that you find a group inside the larger group. It could be your neighborhood inside of the city that you live in, right? So community is really what connects us through this common thread. And I like to think about community in basically 3 levels. So if you think about basically the earth and all the layers of the earth, or you think about an onion and peeling back the layers of the onion, what is it that you're trying to get at the end of the day, right? It's that you want to be connected, you want to feel seen, you want to be understood, you want to feel like there's a mutual sort of sharing and caring in this group of people. So when I think of it in these layers, I think about it as you have that layer of support. So you have a community that provides you support. And that might be family, friends. It might be groups that you've decided to join. So it might be your book club. It might be your running club, your mom's group. It's this group of people that you really feel mutually supported by and supporting. So it feels balanced. It feels nice and comfortable, basically. The next level is about growth. And you can think of this in terms of your business, but you can also think of this in terms of just your personal journey. So what type of community is helping you grow, is helping you step out of your comfort zone, is helping you kind of get to another place. So the way I would think of this would be, this is the growth layer. And so you might think of these people as strategic partners. And that sounds a little bit, even a little too formal, because you do still want it to feel like community. It shouldn't feel like you're ever taking advantage of anyone or that it's not in balance. But I like that terminology because it starts to make it feel like it's a little bit outside of like your family, right? So it's this next level of people that you are going to lean on for your growth. So in my world, that might be other coaches, other consultants. Maybe I don't know them. They're not in my inner circle. They're not necessarily in my immediate network, but they're people that I recognize as having this kind of common thread, this shared industry knowledge. And they're people that, I might consider colleagues that I could reach out to for that next level of support. So I don't know them. They're not inherently a part of my community, but I would like to be in their ecosystem. So that's another level of community, is this strategic partner level. And then the third level would be what I like to think of as expansion. So now you have your close-knit community, your support system, you have that next level of growth, and then you have sort of that bigger, more aspirational group that you really don't know them at all. Like there's not even a third connection to these people. So these might be mentors or people that you have seen in a mastermind or people that you've seen in a TEDx talk, people that you really aspire to be connected to. And so maybe there's not going to be an immediate one-to-one connection, but you can start to find the circles where these people might be hanging out in. So this might be conferences, it might be going to bigger networking events, it might be trying to find the people that could potentially connect you to those people. So if I was going to think of for me, a very personal, aspirational person that would be in that expanded group of people, I would say like someone like Brené Brown for me would be someone that if I could really reach out into this expanded circle of people and start to spend time in the ecosystem around those people, that would make me feel very much expanded. I would feel like I was getting to a different place in my work if I was in a circle with those people. So one of the things I just want to preface about this, when we talk about networking, I am very introverted. So in no time when we build community, are we saying we need to force ourselves into these situations that feel uncomfortable or where we're shy and we don't want to have to go and force these awkward friendships. What I want you to think about in building community is, number one, come from a place of just who you are naturally and who you want to be around, the people that make you feel lighter, the people that make you feel like your best self. Start to find those environments. You don't have to force friendships. Just start finding those environments and spending time there. So, for instance, I live in Leiden in the Netherlands, and I love yoga. And so I found a yoga studio where they speak English, and it's called Tribes. So if you think about community, I think tribe is another great word for community. You're finding your tribe, you're finding your people. So I found Tribes. Check it out if you live in the area. And I wanted to be a part of a community. I wanted to feel like I was a part of a yoga studio. Have I made any friends there? Not yet. I've been going for about a year. The teachers know me now, which is fun. And there's this level of accountability because I've decided to join. I'm not just going to one-off classes. So there's a part of this community that is giving me a lot. And there's no pressure. Again, I don't have to go there to network or to meet friends. So if you're going to conferences where these aspirational people are showing up, don't put pressure on yourself that you have to leave there with 3 contacts and you have to do this or that. We're just stepping out of our comfort zone. We're going into environments that elevate us and lift us up. And there's no pressure to like do something there. We just that's a community. We want to dip our toe into that community and check it out and see if it's a good fit for us. So again, we have these 3 levels: the support level, the growth level, and the expansion level. Okay. So when we think of support, I want you to think of that support level as, do you have enough support? So first of all, this is a baseline. This is your baseline community. Do you feel like you have enough support in this group? And if not, what can you be doing to offer more support, to bring in this type of group, or to create it? So community doesn't have to be something that already exists. Remember that you can also create it yourself. So if you're feeling like you don't have that support level community, how can you build it? How can you reach out to parents at your kids' school and have a dinner, or reach out to your colleagues and have a boral, right? So don't just think that you have to wait for these opportunities to come. If you feel like you need that support level, find a way to create it. And this is something that gives you a lot of leverage in your business. Start to figure out a way that you might be able to create this support opportunity for the people that you want to serve, right? How can you create a baseline level of support for your clients or your customers? Again, this is a much more authentic way to think about growing your business than, who are the people I'm going to sell to? What do they need? How am I going to give that to them? It's so much more enriching when you start thinking about, how can I build a community that's supporting these people, right? And that's where the work you do in the world and the impact you want to make, when you dial it down to how you can help people, how you can support them, it's so different than how can I sell something to these people. I want to support them truly, authentically. I want to be helpful. How can I offer a level of support and help to people? So I'm here. Claire's going to share a pop-up later that's going to have a link to book time with me. So if you need support, I'm here. You can book a 20-minute call with me. We can talk about your business. We can talk about your community or lack of community, how you want to build that community, right? So here it is. But this is a way that I can offer you support. Like, I'm not selling you anything. It's just a way to create community with you. You're here. You're potentially an expat. I haven't looked at the list yet, but you're potentially an expat. And so I'd be so happy to offer you support, right? I'm here giving you information and offering you support. So that's where you start to build community in your business. And it's really beautiful when it becomes this kind of mutually beneficial support system. So going up from that support level and into that growth level and the strategic partnership level, I'm curious from all of you, and you haven't answered any poll questions that I can see unless I'm looking at it incorrectly, Claire, but I don't see any answers yet. But I'm going to ask you one more question here.
Hey, so I'm happy to pop in quickly. We do have some answered poll questions. If you go under polls, you'll see queue, open, and closed. So our audience have voted, and we closed it. So now we could, I can let you know that a lot of people are watching the webinar from Amsterdam, Amstelveen, The Hague, Rotterdam, Nijmegen, and some more people from The Hague. And I don't know if you can see it now.
Yes,
but
I've got it. This is great. Yeah, this is a new platform for me too. So this is super helpful. Thank you, Claire. So great. So perfect. So we're going to pop up one more poll question here then. And when we, again, are thinking about this growth level of community and thinking about people who might be strategic partners. Oh, this is a different question. So what community has made the biggest difference in your life? Okay, so let's go here. Then we'll talk about strategic partners. So you all have listed what community means to you. And I'm curious, like, where have you felt the impact of community on you personally or in your business, maybe living here? Where has community really made a difference in your life? So again, this is really where we get to the heart of why this is important and why it's important to your business, because there's a personal piece to building community with people. There's an authentic desire to help and support them. And that is where people start to trust you, right? You build trust with them saying, I'm really here authentically to support you. There might be a mutual way for us to support one another, but then that community starts to make a real impact on you. So if you moved to the Netherlands from another place, when a community reaches out and says, we welcome you, we want you to be a part of this, it could change your whole experience. So for me, in the neighborhood we live in, the neighbors have these events, and fall Saturday, where everybody gets together. And it's so nice when you're included, right? They feel like, even though you might, like, I have some trouble with Dutch, but you're still welcomed into that community when you're new also, right? So this is a part of it too, like feeling welcomed. You want your people to feel like they're being warmly welcomed into this space. And then that could make a really big impact on people. So I'm going to go now to this, the poll. So if we close that poll, I'm curious, where community has made an impact for you, because that's another place to reflect on where you might be able to create that for someone else, either in your business or in your personal life as well. So one of the things that I did a year ago in my business, amazing. So the community question just came up again. So where has community made an impact for you? So go ahead and answer that question. And then, so one thing I did in my business, so I work in two capacities. I'm a business coach and I'm also a consultant. So I coach new businesses or entrepreneurs who want to launch. And I also consult with larger companies on growing. And one of the things I did last year for my one-on-one entrepreneur coach clients was I started a monthly group call with them. And the reason was I was meeting with these people one-on-one. They were all struggling with the same issues. And I kept wanting to introduce them, like, oh, you're an expat, you live in the Netherlands, you're starting a business, you have all these things that you're dealing with and, curious about, and you have questions about. And I wanted to create a space for all of these people to get together, to meet, to support one another, to share their stories, and to potentially even find opportunities to work together. So this is my best case scenario, is that one of my clients basically needs a service that another one of my clients provides, and then they can work together on it. Which is happening. That's my best case scenario out of creating a group. So there's no additional cost. There's no extras. This is not a sales tool. I saw a need to connect my one-on-one clients and decided this might be a nice, additional extra thing to be able to build community between these people who all live in the same place, who are all struggling with the same things and don't have a way to connect right now. So I saw a gap. And again, it wasn't something that I was just additionally selling. I saw an opportunity, and that opportunity has then turned into basically when people finish 2 program cycles with me, they can move into a monthly program, and it's that group plus you get a call with me. And I'm not saying this because I'm trying to sell you anything. I'm just saying this is the trajectory of, I was only doing one-on-ones with clients, and I realized there's this really big missed opportunity for these people to be together in a space, sharing information. And what that did for me was it made me feel connected to a community. Now I have this amazing group of who I call now my VIP clients, who I adore. I love them dearly. They're supporting each other. 2 of them spent Thanksgiving together this last Thanksgiving. They're both Americans, and they had a Thanksgiving thing together. And they met through my community. And it just makes my heart swell that I created something for people. I created that support system for people. And now I'm getting back from it because I'm now a part of this community. And it also makes me look at my one-on-one clients differently, because I know they're going to enter into this very special group. So I'm extra careful about who I work with one-on-one, because I know they're going to be going into this group. So it's added so much to my business. And all I did was create a community. And now it's this arm of my business now. And now I have a monthly membership. So it rolled into a new service offering, but it started by just wanting to add a component to my one-on-one coaching to give people that opportunity. And I think I Am Expat is really similar in that way, right? There are all these expats moving to the Netherlands, and they need resources. And the place where you're going to go is referrals, right? When you move someplace, you're going to want to ask people questions like, did you move there? What schools did you look into? Where did you get your insurance? How did you register at the Gemeente? There are all these questions that expats had. And I Am Expat like moved right into that space to go, you know what? Everybody needs resources. And it's not that you're taking advantage of this opportunity or this gap, but you're actually offering a service that's massively needed. So you're creating impact and support. And also, if there's a business opportunity there, amazing, right? That's the best of all worlds. But if you start thinking, this is what people need, how can I better support them? Then it comes from this amazing place where now you've created a service and an offer where people feel like they're a part of a community. And here we are. We're all here. We're all expats. We're all living in the Netherlands. I mean, at least everyone who answered the poll is living in the Netherlands. And I Am Expat brought us together. So thank you. So this is where it can work in that way where you don't have to wait for it to happen. You can also help create it. So I'm going to check out this closed poll and just see if anything came in. I don't see anything. So again, Claire, I hope I'm looking in the right place. I'm looking at the closed poll. And that's fine. No pressure for anyone to answer these questions. Okay, community has made an impact for you because you feel less alone. Okay, I see it, Claire. It just popped up.
Just happy that you found it, and let me know the next question you want to ask. I think we've gone a little bit out of order, so I'm trying my best to keep up.
It's amazing. No, thank you so much. So great. So these are places where community has made an impact for you. So helping with your entrepreneur journey. I love that. Facebook groups about starting a business in the Netherlands were really helpful. Moving to a new country is hard, and feeling welcomed unless you have a group of people with similar interests. So I love this. I mean, I love that everyone that's here too is talking about this idea of like zay payers and being an entrepreneur, because we're in a very specific niche, right? We're expats. We're living in the Netherlands, and we're starting businesses or growing businesses as expats in the Netherlands. So this is a really unique space. And I feel so lucky to be a part of a community of people with all of those same interests, right? Of all those same common threads. It's amazing. So we're going to move. So that's the support level of community. And now I want to move again into that growth space. So the growth space is looking at strategic partnerships. So me and I Am Expat, that would be a strategic partnership. So another example that I gave before was looking around and saying, okay, I have coach colleagues in the same industry. Where can I reach out to these people? And they might be, an immediate connection, but someone I don't really know, or somebody that's a connection through someone else. So they might still be in your ecosystem. They're not that expanded level person, but it's strategic thinking about reaching out to them because you want to build community with them because there's a mutual benefit to that. So if I reached out to a coach and I said, maybe we could co-create something together, maybe we could run a course together, it's someone that I feel like is at my level, right? And I think there's an aspirational part of this whole community building too. Like, don't sell yourself short. If you're starting up and you haven't launched your business yet, and then you think, well, I shouldn't be in the room with these people who have, or I need to do all these things before I should be let into the community. Make sure that you're not selling yourself short and that you're reaching out to people when you want to be a part of that community, that, you're pushing yourself a little bit outside of your comfort zone. You do want to make sure that you gauge it. That you're not, I'm not going to reach out to Brene Brown tomorrow and say, we should co-write a course together or co-write a book. Not quite there yet, but there's an in-between. And so I really look at those strategic partnerships as people that I feel like are colleagues, and we're doing some of the similar kind of work. And there's a mutual benefit to this partnership. There's a mutual benefit to us potentially building a new community together. So is there a strategic partner? And this is another poll question. Is there a person that you can think of that would be a strategic partner for you? This is just a yes, no question, but think about where you are in your business and someone that you didn't really consider before, someone that makes you feel like you're kind of growing out of your comfort zone. They're not that first immediate, easier to tap in group. They're that next level up that might be, one connection distant from you. Who could that strategic partner be? And I would encourage you, after we get off this call, make a list of all those people who might be strategic partners. Because, when we talk about networking, this is really just reframing what networking is, because networking feels big, it feels cumbersome, it feels exhausting, right? But if you think about, who are the 5 people that I could potentially reach out to in this kind of strategic partnership, wanting to build a community type of space, when you think about it like that, it feels less intimidating. It feels more actionable, more like I'm about to build a community with other colleagues instead of what can I sell you? What can we co-sell, right? Think about that mutually beneficial community aspect first. How do you want to build something with this potential strategic partner? So I'll be curious how many of you said yes to that, because sometimes it's easy to be thinking small, or to think that, no, there's no way I don't have any of these strategic partners in my community, or one step beyond my community, or in my ecosystem. And I would just challenge you to think about who could be that strategic partner for you, who could co-create something with you, get creative outside of your space. So I'll look at that in a minute, that poll, as the answers flow in. But if you have any questions, I'm going to look and see. Okay. I see a question. So great. I'm going to go and answer a question, and then we'll talk about expansion. So this is from Lisa. Hi, Lisa. Happy to see you here. So how do you recommend we see movement in your circles? Should I be trying to grow each circle? Should I be trying to move people from the outer towards the inner circle? I love this. So basically the first thing I would say is just the baseline is that there is a circle. So go to the baseline and say, do I have a support system? Do I have a support community? Yes or no? What do I need to do to build that community? Sometimes that support community may also be your strategic partnership people, but don't force it. Like I like to say, if your family is your support system, you don't have to make your family your strategic partners. A lot of people do. A lot of people bring their family into their business. It's not, I don't recommend it. I've done it in the past. It's not necessarily, they don't have to flow into one another. I would just look at them as, do I have them? They're building blocks to you having this expanded network of support and resources. And you're not just taking, right? Community is about giving back. So when you look at each circle, are you receiving what you can receive from this community? And are you also giving to this community? Because that's going to be mutually beneficial, and it's going to be more enriching to both of you if you're both able to receive from that community and give something to that community. So you don't necessarily have to move people from one to the other. It depends. Sometimes it's nice to look at your support group and say, are these people potentially strategic partners? And Lisa, I think in your case, the answer is yes. I think in your support network, there probably are a lot of people, one connection further, that are those potential strategic partners. So then you need to get into that space where you allow yourself to know that you are on the same level, even if you're not in the same space in your business. You're allowed to ask for strategic partnerships from people, even if you don't identify yourself as being on the same level. It's getting yourself out of your comfort zone. So I love this question. So if anyone has questions, of course, I'll look at them at the end as well. But if there's any clarity that's needed around looking at each one of these circles of community, definitely I want to slow down and make sure it makes sense. So we talked about strategic partners, and that's sort of that second level. And again, like as you're thinking about these levels, I feel like the more you grow strategic partnerships, the more you're going to grow. And the more strategic partnerships you have, the more you're going to feel expanded. And then the more confidence you're going to have going into that expansion level of community, that aspirational level of community where you're really reaching up and out and into a space that you've never been in before. So it's hard to get to that level of strategic partnership if you don't already have that first level of support. So they do build on one another, and you do get more, you do build confidence as you have these people around you sort of helping build you up, right? So if you're in a community of people that are pulling you down, and that would be like a gossip circle, right? Where it's people who are just so needy that community doesn't feel supportive anymore. Give yourself the space and grace to also look at those communities and reevaluate them. Are they supportive? Do you feel supported? Do you feel like you want to give support? So this is kind of looking at each one individually. So now as we look at this aspirational level, this expanded level, this is the hardest one. And you can start whenever you want, right? Like you can be building your support group at the same time that you're building this expanded level. It's just going to be a little bit harder if you don't have some foundational pieces to these levels of community. But don't let it stop you. If you're still trying to find your book club or your yoga studio, if you're still trying to find that baseline support system, there's no rule that you have to have that before you go here. It's just going to help you. But this expanded level is more difficult because these are not necessarily people you know. But it's a community that you would sure love to be a part of. So this is a weird example, and I didn't actually even have this in my notes, but it just dawned on me that I started watching Inventing Anna. So it's about this woman. She was in her early 20s. She really wanted to be a part of the New York elite, wealthy, powerful business people circle. And she did not do it the right way because she ended up stealing money and all these things. But there was this very aspirational thing. She came from Aachen in Germany. She moved to New York, and somehow she found her way into these incredibly aspirational circles of art dealers and investment brokers, and just these circles that are so incredibly aspirational that and if you know her story, like she didn't do it the right way. I'm not encouraging that, but I just think it's so fascinating that she basically jumped all the levels and went straight into this incredibly aspirational level. And I think what happens with so many of us is we're insecure. We don't have the confidence to think we can step into these spaces. So I admire her like gumption and confidence to just go from Aachen to the middle of like the New York elite. I don't recommend doing it the way she did it, but I do think there's something pretty interesting about believing into those aspirational communities, right? Like giving yourself that, I don't know, like space basically to believe you belong. Because that's really what community is, right? Do I belong here? Do I recognize the people here? Do I feel like I can be seen in this community? And sometimes we feel in those aspirational spaces, we don't see ourselves there. We've never been there before. So it's hard to imagine that we belong in that circle. But if you haven't, I would just say, dip your toe in, just test it. Go to an event. See if there's someone that's going to one of those events where you want to have a chance to dip your toe in. This is going to be the scariest place to build community because they're not in your circle yet. These people are not yet in your circle. That's why it's aspirational. So it's going to feel the most uncomfortable, and it's going to do the most for you and your business, because you are just immediately going to jump 500 levels of the video game, and you're just going to be in the middle of that room, and you're going to have to make it work, right? You're going to have to rely on yourself to show up in this space of a CEO or a COO or whatever this role is that you're stepping into as a business owner, or just as, as this aspirational role that you're moving into. You're going to have to inhabit that role and carry it and be in it, in that space. And if you haven't been in it yet, if you haven't, if you're launching a business, but you haven't told anybody yet, or you haven't stepped into that identity as a business owner, it's going to feel awkward and uncomfortable in that space. But try it on anyway, right? That's where the growth comes, is when we get uncomfortable. If you have that other support system, that other support community, it's going to help you get to that place, because you'll have people to rely on and to lean on. If you have strategic partners, they may be able to open the door to get you in that room. Don't be afraid of the expansion. Don't be afraid of that level of community. And don't be afraid to start that community, right? That's even more awkward. So if we think about this, CEO business person community, and we already feel like maybe we don't inhabit that space, and then we go and start a community of those people, it might feel uncomfortable. Like, who am I to start this community? And what do I have? The main point is that sometimes that's exactly what people are looking for. And sometimes they need that expanded aspirational group. And sometimes it's not enough that it's the strategic partnership level, right? Sometimes you see the need, you see the gap, and it's time to step into that space. So I'll give you an example. I have a business coach. Of course I do. I believe in business coaches. I am a business coach, so I have a business coach. And my business coach was encouraging me to go to a retreat, like a businesswoman's retreat, where everyone at that retreat had a six-figure business. And she kept telling me, you need to be around these women who are running these six-figure businesses. And I kept thinking about it. I'm like, yeah, you're right. I need to be in that environment. I need to be in that community. Those are my people. And then I started reflecting on it, and I remembered that I run a 5-figure business, and that's not aspirational enough, actually. I need to be in the 7-figure business community, right? Like, this is my expanded place. I need to spend time with people who are running $1 million businesses. And maybe we started $1 million, but also maybe I'm hanging out with CEOs of $5 million euro businesses. So that's where I feel expanded. That's where I feel a little bit scared. That's where I feel a little bit like it's imposter syndrome, because yes, I also want to be in a community of business women that are, where I'm at, but that's not the aspirational growth challenge, push myself, dip my toe in, start a community of $1 million business women, that's expansion. So make sure that you feel a little bit scared of like walking into that community. Okay. I feel like I'm missing some of the questions I wanted to ask you all. So let's go back to this expanded place. Is there someone, so Claire, here's this question. Is there someone who's a person of influence in that expanded place, in that expanded level community that you may be able to reach out to that could help you expand? So again, like when we get off here or tomorrow morning, like make a list of strategic partners and these people of influence that make you feel expanded and reach you into that third tier of community, the slightly scary imposter level. Do you know anybody that you could reach out to? So when we bring it full circle back into your business, there's this idea in your business of new business, right? Of business growth, of looking for leads, reaching out to people who might be interested in what you're offering. And I'm talking services right now. So if you're in a product level business, there's a whole different kind of way that you're going to drive new business, and it's going to be through marketing, right? So there's that way of looking at your business. Every week, I want to drive X number of leads. If you think about your business in terms of building community, you're like, well, who do I need to invite into my community? What communities do I need to step into? This community piece is going to grow your business in a way that, yes, the other things are important, but if you didn't do any of those things and you only focused on the community part, your business is going to grow like crazy, because this feels so much more natural than I have to build a funnel and I have to drive leads and I have to do all these things that the books tell me I'm supposed to do. If you focus your mind on, I need to build my community, I need to grow my community, I need more people in my community, I need a place for my community to congregate, I need to find the places where communities are congregating. If you take the networking word out of your vocabulary, because that comes with its own issues, and you think about community, I'm building community, I'm growing community, I'm a part of communities, I'm stepping into communities, it just changes the way that you look at your business. It just already feels bigger, more fun, more interesting, more connected, more rich, more supportive than, what does somebody need? What am I going to sell them? What if they need it? What if they don't need it? How do I reconcile that? I feel gross as a business person selling people something they don't need. Instead, you're like, no, I'm opening space for people to work together, to get support, to do the things they need to do. And it's, of course, dependent on what your service offering is, but I challenge you to think about how you can build community no matter what it is that your business is doing. Okay, so yes, Harry, are there red flags for communities that are, oh, sorry, I skipped one, but okay. Are there red flags for communities that are more toxic positivity than just supportive? This is all about your instinct about these groups. Whenever we walk into a group of people, we're going to get a sense of the vibe, right? And some communities are just not going to be a good fit. And that's different than this, like, I feel like an imposter because I'm expanding. That's different than I feel like an imposter because these are not my people. It's okay. If you're feeling like this is a toxic positivity kind of group atmosphere and that's not right for you, it's okay. This is where we have to reevaluate some of the communities we're already a part of. They might not be the right fit. It might not be the right level of support that you need. So absolutely, like, evaluate all these communities. Don't, even if you go there and you have a connection and you're a part of it, but you feel like you need to unwind from it, that's okay. It's okay. There are communities that also have issues, right? And sometimes there's a compromise any group of people, there's going to be things that come up, right? We're human and we're not robots. So there are going to be things that come up, but there are things that are fine, right? That it's okay. I can make a compromise here. And there are compromises that you just don't want to make. And trust me, there are plenty of communities. So don't feel like that's the only one, that's your only option. So Keiko, you joined Theory University and you're collaborating in an interview. So perfect. So this is great. So you have found a strategic partner. You're doing a co-collaboration with them. This is great because they're going to have a community. You have a community. You can kind of bring different people together from different places. Amazing. So creating community on Instagram. Okay, so let me talk a little bit about social media. So, I'm talking more about in-person events and conferences and things like that. But one of the things that social media has all different traits, and some are positive and some are negative. But the people who focus on community are the ones that have the most success. So it's even in the vocabulary of certain content creators, like welcome to the community. Now you're a part of the community. So it's the same, right? You want to be talking to people in a way that you're inviting them into your community. If you're creating content and all of it is very like, I am the content creator and you're the audience, and I read the book that said, this is how I'm supposed to connect to you, you're going to have a hard time making those actual authentic connections. But if you're actually creating a space where people feel welcomed and people feel like you're potentially going to respond to their comments and you're providing an offer that's supportive and mutually supportive, because obviously you have more followers, that's going to benefit you. And also, if you're creating content that's benefiting the people in your community, you're going to have more success. So if you think about social media in the same way that you think about any community, like I'm providing something to this group of people to support them, to make an impact with them, this feels rich, this feels mutually supportive, then you're going to go somewhere with your business. I've worked in marketing for a long time, so you can see some of those content creators who have brand relationships and they go from, I've created this amazing community to now I'm selling products because I built this community. Now I'm going to sell to this community, and they lose followers immediately because it's so clear. It's not about community anymore. It's about selling. I'm not saying you can't sell to your community, but there's a way to do it where it's like, hey, you're my community. I'd like to offer something to you. So I have a community of people, and at some point I'm going to say, hey, VIP people, you guys want to go on a retreat together? Because we love each other. Like we want to spend time together. And it's not like, hey, here's a pair of shoes that you don't need. But I know that you all like to spend time together. What if we set aside time? I'll put it together. You pay me to put it together, and I will bring you all together in a retreat, right? Like that's a way that you can sell something to your community that is on brand. It's on your brand. It's not that you're just selling stuff to your community because you grew your community, if that makes sense. Okay. And we have 6 minutes left. So I'm going to start going through these questions. So please let your questions roll. I'll just give a quick summary. So we talked about these 3 levels of community. These levels of community are going to help your business. And after this webinar, I recommend that you make a list of your strategic partners and your expanded group of people. And then if you need help trying to figure out how to build community, you can reach out to me. I'm doing free 20-minute one-on-one discovery calls where you can talk about your business, talk about your needs. We can build community. We can talk about bringing you into my community. We can talk about co-creation, whatever it is. You can sign up 20 minutes, book time on my calendar. I have a little intake form, and it's normally to see if you're interested in coaching. You can write me any notes in there. So that's open to you. So Let's go through a couple more questions. All right. So, is there a recommended number of posts per day or per week? Okay. So, I'm not going to go too deep into social media marketing best practices, but basically, you can Google your audience. So, if your audience is based in Europe, if your audience, for my audience, a lot of them are in the US, you can actually Google what's the best time of day for this platform for these locations, and it will serve you up the algorithm for the best time, and then you can track it to see. But again, like in building community, consistency is the key. Your community is starting to trust you, and they're starting to rely on your help and your expertise and the thing that you're building for them and offering. So I would say even more than recommended number of posts per day is like, just be consistent. If you decide that the most you can do is a post per week, that's fine. Just don't ever miss that posting time. Consistency is important because the community is relying on this person to show up and to be there. I showed up today, right? Like if you were relying on me to be here to build community with you and then I didn't show up, that's not going to go well, right? Like that's not going to land well for your business. So more than an algorithm, I would say just have consistency in the way that you show up and how often you're showing up, but more in making sure that you're authentically coming through to your potential clients or customers with something that is going to help them. Someone that I think has done a really good job of being consistent in their offering here, like it's not social media, but he has a newsletter, is James Clear. I don't know if you're familiar with the book Atomic Habits. It might even be behind me, I'm not sure. But he puts out a newsletter every Tuesday. And what's remarkable about it is that people who I haven't subscribed to it yet, actually, but my clients have told me that he puts his newsletter out every Tuesday. So think about all the people that you follow. You have no idea what day or time they're posting, but the fact that people know he writes on Tuesday means they're waiting for his newsletter to show up on Tuesday. So imagine that it doesn't. That community is going to feel lost. They're going to feel sad and heartbroken that he said he was going to send something on Tuesday and he doesn't. So that's something for that. Okay, Angela, I love this question because you might not believe it, but I am a super introvert and I cannot stand going to big conferences. In my old jobs, I would have to network and I would have to come back from these conferences with relationships. And here's what I would say. You don't have to talk to anyone. When I go to yoga, I don't talk to anyone, but I'm in a community. So I know it's there for me. If I was ready to talk to people, they would be there and I could drum up a conversation, but I also don't have to. And also I still feel connected. So I would just encourage you to get into these spaces, right? And I would say physical spaces, as long as they're available to us, take advantage of these physical spaces where these people might be meeting. And go to spaces where it's not a requirement to talk to people, but it gets you into that space where you feel elevated and expanded and you're dipping your toe in and you're around those people. You're just being inspired by the event. You can go to a conference that is an inspiring topic with inspiring people, and you don't have to talk to anyone. This is step one of building community. You're just there. Probably by accident, you'll end up eating lunch with someone, right? Don't go there feeling like you have to talk to people. Just get yourself in those spaces. That's already enough. You're finding the community, you're entering that community, and you don't have to be extroverted to be a part of it. Okay, that's it.
I think so too. Thank you to everyone who asked their questions. That was some really good, wonderful advice. And we also appreciate your kind words from earlier about I Am Expat. Of course, we also strive to make this a nice, welcoming community for other internationals who have moved to the Netherlands and now are looking for help and resources and support. So I agree, this was a strategic partnership. So thank you very much. If you'd like to get in touch with Jaime, we have shown the pop-up offer twice, but you can also find the link at the top of the chat window. So that chat window is right there. It's got the link, and there is some availability in your schedule for discovery calls with our audience. So if you would like, we encourage you to take advantage of this opportunity. And if you are living in the Netherlands, which I think we've established everyone is, maybe you're renting, but you want to move into your own home and start your journey towards home ownership, we encourage you to join us next Tuesday at 7 p.m. So same time, same place, different week, for our housing webinar about buying a house in the Netherlands. This was a great group of experts. They explain everything from start to finish. So we highly recommend joining us if you're in the market or want to climb the Dutch property ladder. And we also have a quick feedback survey. This is just a little survey we ask our attendees to fill out. It takes 2 minutes, and it asks a couple questions about date and time, what you thought of the webinar platform, how you found out about the webinar coming up. So we take all of your feedback and your comments very seriously, and it allows us to improve the webinar service. So I think that's it for now. Jaime, I'll give you the final word if you have any final words of wisdom for our audience, and then we'll play the outro video and everyone can have a wonderful evening.
Yeah, no, just thank you everyone for being here, and, you know, try to make connections with one another if that's possible. I don't know, but keep working on trying to find your community here in the Netherlands.
All right. I agree. Keep it up. Thank you so much to everyone, and we wish you a lovely evening. Take care, all.
Bye.
Bye.